Right. So thank you very much for being here and welcome to the second webinar in the cycle of the European Mindful and Compassionate ELT project. We're so delighted you could join us this morning. Before I introduce our speaker, Anna Machura, I would just like to say a few words in general about the project. So as I mentioned, this is our second webinar, and we've been really pleased to see so much interest and support. Our mission is to create a supportive community of ELT professionals who share a commitment to mindfulness and holistic education. We're aiming to encourage teachers across Europe to reflect on their own mindfulness practices and their own compassion towards themselves and their students. And I suppose that the hope is that this will foster safe, inclusive learning environments with well-being and students' learning outcomes at the centre. So we have a number of wonderful sessions coming up over the next few months with some incredible speakers. So please stay tuned. On the 10th of May, we'll have our next webinar with Zeynep and Azman, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, and they'll be talking about mindful-based practice in ELT. And we'll be also covering other topics over the next few months, such as communication, gratitude, and compassion. So I would very much like to introduce our team. So first of all, our sort of coordinator, Jose Mora Carvalho. Sorry for the horrible pronunciation, Jose. Who is based in Portugal. And this group was sort of the brainchild of Jose and also Ana Pires, who's with us this morning. And they also founded the Appy Mindful SIG, which some of you might be familiar with. And so there are lots, it's wonderful to see lots of these projects happening and being so requested by teachers as well. Then unfortunately this morning, Boglarka Species can't be with us, but she's very much involved in the project and she's based in Hungary. We have Azaman Azak, who's based in Turkey, and Zeynep Kokali, who are also here, also from Turkey, who are here with us this morning. And I'm Chantal Walsh, and I'm based in Italy. So it's a very European team. So just a little housekeeping to bear in mind this morning, just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So please make sure your audio is muted. And if you have any questions, kindly type them in the chat box. And at the end of the session, I know Anna will be asking some questions as she's going along, but at the end of the session, we'll deal with any questions that you'd like to ask. Additionally, we would kindly request you to silence your mobile phones to minimize disruptions, and if possible, that you're in a quiet place so that you can enjoy the morning with us. The last point, Anna, as we mentioned, the session will be recorded. So as I mentioned a moment ago, if you would rather turn off your camera, this is the moment to do so. Okay, so that's a little bit of housekeeping. So now please let me introduce our speaker that we're delighted to have with us this morning, Anna Machura. So the name of Anna's talk is The Mind is a Temple, Not a Template, Neurodiversity and Mosaic Minds. So it's a wonderful title, Anna. Anna is a passionate, experienced university language teacher. She's also a teacher trainer, linguist, lecturer, educational consultant, and course creator. She's a UK Standards Office CPD accredited speaker, neurolanguage and neuroscience coach, as well as chair of Kuwait Neurolinguistics SIG. So Anna has multiple specializations. She's a registered therapist, a specialist on neurodiversity informed practice, and practitioner of CBT, NLP, and mindfulness. So she writes articles on holistic education, neuro-inclusive learning environments, metacognition, well-being in ELT, and novel teaching methodologies, including therapeutic techniques. So Anna, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And now I'll pass the floor to you. Okay, enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much and welcome, everybody. Greetings from Cork. We are truly international. Hope you can hear me well. And Chantel, thanks very much. Again, indeed, there are a lot of important points I'd love to share with you. So as we go along, please do use the chat. And I'm so curious if the artistic realm, I like to say it's mosaic minds is something you're already familiar with, or this is the start of your journey. Without further ado, I put my presentation on and let's um go. There we go. And full screen. Why the title? Well, mosaic minds are everywhere, and we are a part of that story as well. Now, when it comes to terminology, there are neurotypical without any learning differences minds and neurodivergent minds. But we are part of one big community. As teachers, when we look at our learners, we should bear in mind that whatever is happening around us is very much organic. And now, with the social movement of neurodiversity, this is even more and more important. The introduction, thank you, Chantel, was brilliant. So, very quickly, I might have met some of you at TESOL or TEFL events, or maybe somewhere from other stakes here as well. Maybe we met. That would be brilliant to know from you. Yes, we heard something on those topics, points, or aspects that I'm going to raise already, because my experience was that there are a lot of questions on specific parts of neurodiversity. Okay, so today I'll be talking from the perspective of a teacher therapist and the therapeutic side. What else can be done in the classroom? Because, as such, mindfulness and compassion is a topic that we've covered here or there. And our learners are also aware of the differences in communication, interpersonal relations, cognitive processes. But do we talk about it enough in the classroom? Or is there anything that I hope you will take from this talk and use in your class and then spark some important, lovely discussions? Because this is all about awareness and the learning objectives right there on the screen. Knowing the nature and again, having the awareness is the first step. But when we dig deeper and go even further, we discover the double empathy problem. You may say, like, hey, hold on, what's going on? We all know empathy, right? But sometimes we like to look at things from our own perspective. And because the concept of neurodiversity is quite fresh or new, especially in some countries, please share in the chat what it looks like in your school or in your communities. We need to know a little bit more on the cognitive part about the theory of mind, perhaps as well, that will be helpful. So, social context, definitely. We'll go further into the language that we use all around those connections. So, neuroaffirming, is it affirming enough? Of course, teachers are role models, so it starts with us. I'll be covering bits from neurolinguistics, neuroscience, and of course, that all is linked to neurodiversity. Question to you, first one, how do we empathize? If you ask the question in the classroom, what answers would you get? And then, as a teacher, how do we empathize? Please use the chat. Thank you so much. Very good. Mirror neurons. Yes, I will mention that too. So, realizing the impact that the person that is next to us impacts me as an individual, and the same happens. We put ourselves in other people's shoes. Fantastic. We're the same page. I'll be talking more and more exactly what it looks like from the autistic mind's perspective. So we listen to the students' needs. Absolutely, very good. But now, a quick task for you as a warm-up. Please look at the girl there. What's on her mind? What do you think has just happened, and what will she do? As adults, and again, I did not ask you for a reason if you are neurotypical without any learning difference, perhaps some of you may be neurodivergent. At this moment, we're getting general answers. It's the same as in the classroom. You don't know what kind of mind you're dealing with, but these are the answers you may get. Maybe shy, maybe worried, maybe upset. Okay. Maybe break time. She's alone. Very good. So yeah, very good. Let's wait for more answers or guesses. I can see you're writing perhaps maybe somebody stole her ruler. Just calling them. You see, she may tell the teacher that the other students are misbehaving. So many answers. She's curious. Thank you so much for those. This is where the story gets very interesting, right? And we're adults and we're teachers and we still don't know because there is no good answer. It is a learning process for us. It's very much organic. Puzzled, or she's being bullied. She's afraid. Yeah, we can go on and on. So thank you very much for this. When it comes to neuroscience, there are two theories how we can empathize and how we can um, actually perceive, judge, guess, and get our reality. When it comes to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we can go even further. The map is not the territory. That's our map that we're projecting, right? So uh, simulate, or the theory of mind, which is going to lead us to an interesting thing, step by step. So two theories. One, we're projecting things and it's kind of we imagine that or try to put ourselves there and simulate that. Now, the theory of mind was mentioned, empathy. Again, there is more to take on empathy. Very good. Now, perspective taking seems easy, so easier said than done. Which perspective we're taking, right? What do we see? Another quick task for you to keep your minds active. Please recognize these 7 emotions. You can write in the chat emotion 1, 3 different individuals, emotion 2, 3, and 4 per slide. And of course, you can use the chat. We're recognizing emotions, your guesses, please. Again, I'm not asking if you're a neurodivergent or a neurotypical mind. That matters, actually. Okay, imagine we're in the classroom. We are students. 1, okay, we're getting first answers. Angry, disappointed, furious, or annoyed. Very good, very good. I keep it a few more seconds. You can give your guesses. These are all guesses, right? So mad, disgusted, good, doubtful, skeptical, happy, neutral. Okay, I can see 3 and 4 are being covered. So I skip to the next slide to give you time and guess. 5, 6, and 7. I can see all different answers. Interested, suspicious. Right, right. It's like a territory we don't know. It's maybe, perhaps. That's what I guess. Are we projecting our reality? What we know, how we would react, what we know, what seems familiar. But it's not that familiar for everybody when it comes to nonverbal cues. Students are feeling negative emotions. Should we allow them to express them in a constructive way in the classroom? A very interesting thing. I can answer right now when it comes to autistic learners and all neurodivergent minds, because that could be for a person with ADHD. There's a sort of behavior called stimming, soothing behavior. And yes, if you're normalizing that kind of behavior as one, mental breaks as being comfortable, so could be interventions, equipment, or just allowing the child to express whatever that person is going through right now mentally in that moment. My answer, should we allow that? This is the big change that requires that shift in the mindset. In my opinion, yes, but educating first and raising awareness. What are those behaviors? So they are accepted. Okay. And of course, putting some kind of framework to it. So we should not discourage masking because that may lead to masking later on. Okay. However, I would be on that side to, yeah, let them behave the way they need, processing emotions. So these are the answers. Let's get going. I have a lot of interesting slides for you and answers. Who was right? Who was the closest? I mean, you were all right in a way that we are not sure, especially with nonverbal communication. It's hard for us. The fourth emotion was actually neutral. There was a trap for you, but still, okay. Why am I presenting all this to you? Is to actually show clearly that as adults, for us, it's a huge difficulty. We're not good at recognizing emotions. It's a process you can learn, and there may be an individual that will surprise you as well. People can hide emotions very well, but when it comes to autistic learners, what's happening is that sometimes they would not show those emotions at all, and I explain why. Okay, theory of mind, and especially not only the emotions they are processing, but most importantly, their reactions to other people's or peers, of course, around teachers, whoever around. This is important because we think that whatever is inside the mind is outside, visible. It's not. So verbal, non-verbal, but it's still not enough, okay, to be sure what the person is feeling to really understand compassion and empathy. But first, it's, well, all about neurons. It's a mirror. Okay, please imagine a situation. Yes, a child can be just doing whatever the neurons are telling them to do. Okay, I'm following what you're doing without the emotions, without that feeling. Right on the right, we can see even the baby, like that happens. Okay, this is common around. See on the right down there. So mirror neurons or the concept should be something that learners talk about. That will help them to open the door to being more mindful when observing others, but also mindful of their behaviors and what message they are sending to others. When the group is, well, let's say all neurotypical learners without any learning difference. Why am I saying a learning difference? Because according to studies, dyslexic learners, also dyspraxic, but let's focus on just the notion that learners with a learning difference in some countries, or still the terminology, maybe a disability, this is the medical term, but the social thing now, right now, under the umbrella of neurodiversity is a learning difficulty or learning difference. This is neuro-affirming language. And working every single day, at this stage, hundreds of learners, talking to parents, talking to doctors, training other teachers, talking to other professionals. The umbrella term covers the whole spectrum. So it's never linear, okay? And it's very, very important to understand that if you're dealing with one child, it may be slightly different in case of another child. another point I want to stress right now before we go deeper is that more and more common, a dual diagnosis appears. So a person can be autistic and with dyslexia, or having ADHD and dyspraxia, or dyscalculia, or dysgraphia, and so on. Please bear that in mind, that it's getting a little bit complicated from this moment. The theory we're talking about covers, well, cognition, but in therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, we only fix something if someone comes and wants a therapeutic kind of approach. I only ask the first question is, what are we going to fix? What you want to fix? Okay. In terms of dealing with neurodivergent learners, I'm not fixing anything. I'm helping them to find their strengths, to bridge the gap that we, as most neurotypical, possibly the majority of the society, would consider. What is the gap? What I do not understand, because so far the situation has been that neurodivergent learners were trying to adopt and understand our world. All right, so let's talk about the situation where two minds meet. Okay, do I understand what you're saying? Do I understand your reactions? How do I take it personally or not? Am I just mimicking something, trying to fit in and be accepted? Or is this really what I'm thinking right now, what I'm going through? Are these my true feelings? This is important. Now, looking at this slide, emotional contagion. We do match emotions, a normal social thing, right? We live in groups. Now, but it's the transfer of emotion between individuals that is happening all the time. Okay, you can talk about the vibes. Okay, tuning in, chemistry. Okay, we feel the same vibe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. There are a lot of expressions as well. And then we have the emotional mimicry. So just the imitation of emotional expressions, important, because when you have neurodivergent, especially autistic minds in the class, this is what is going to happen quite a lot. And from this moment, we're going to social interactions and a double empathy problem. Okay. Now, what is the language that you use talking to someone? Whatever the sentence is, we're reacting, we're talking about an emotional event or something that it matters to someone. So you say, I know how you feel, or I feel you, or I see what you mean, or it sounds tough. Say no more. Please share in the chat your, well, most likely answer, imagine, or what do you use? In the meantime, I explained that NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, talks about our meta models. We have a tendency to use certain words, but this is how our brains operate. Somehow it's our programming, the mind. But there's one important thing. Someone's, I feel, really sounds tough. Okay. More answers coming in. I see what you mean. Okay, so right away, if you tune in and you listen to now your learners, you will see what is their reality, but it's still not the map. It's just their territory. Okay, if it's more visual or more, I'd say kinesthetic, like let's go, do it, let's see, or feelings, or are they more analytical? And is it, I know how you feel? Because I know doesn't mean I understand and I'm feeling the same. Or if it sounds tough to me, doesn't mean that it's exactly what is happening and I may be wrong. So my perspective always is I'm very cautious. I'm telling my learners, actually, they have taught me so much. And I want to spread this message today. We teachers, educators should learn from neurodivergent minds, especially young learners. I tell you why. Okay. A few more answers to read. I completely understand what we could do to see from a different perspective. Absolutely. It is a different perspective. And at this stage, after so many years, I have two perspectives. Plus, I'm trying to apply that therapeutic side. If someone asks me, please help me to understand myself and others, and this is what I'm doing, right? But I'm accepting that these are mosaic minds. So, with a lot of respect, thank you so much for your answers. And now let's explain cognitive empathy or accuracy. Okay? That involves having a more complete and accurate knowledge about the contents. But how can we do that? How can we know the contents of another person's mind? We can only guess unless they let us enter there. So, one thing I would love to spread again, it's a skill. And again, that should be taught in every lesson. Okay. It is a skill. We should not say that, okay, I know how you feel. Oh yeah, I get it. I get you. I understand. That's it. And we can just move on. Let's be friends. No, no. And it's a skill. It's all about, I go back for a second, others' emotional states. And if we know states are organic, that's emotions are in motion all the time. So you can never say that this is like a template. Oh, I can apply it now to this person. Absolutely not. To me, whatever is here, that's sacred. Okay. That's your temple. Let me in, please, and teach me. Show me your world. And when we're talking about emotional empathy, according to social psychology, we need to consider three elements or components. So, number one is feeling the same emotion as another person or tuning in. Then, the personal distress. So, one's own feelings of distress in response to perceiving another person's plight or that difficulty they're going through. And the third element is feeling compassion for another person. So you can see that it's not automatic at all. And saying something does not mean knowing. And even knowing something doesn't mean feeling exactly the same. Emotional empathy. I hope so far, so good. Any questions? Please let me know if you're following. We're about halfway through. So I'll be going into more details, but feel free to share your thoughts so far. And the theory, we're talking about theory of mind. Um, okay, I will go back to the point one, two, and three. Yes, social psychology, three elements. There you go. Yes. Well, you may say, oh, right, but we are adults, we're dealing with maybe young learners, then teenagers, some of you with adults only. So how can I be a better teacher? How can I be more mindful and compassionate about those differences? And well, here's the thing. I encourage everyone to try engaging, be it you could teach, but just engaging even as such with young learners because they're sincere. Oh my God. So the emotions are right there. Okay. And they are developing that skill. So we can help them even more when it comes to teenagers or adults. They have developed some coping mechanisms, how to navigate social relationships, what to avoid. Okay. So there's a lot of playing going on. Um, but as you can see, this theory develops between the ages quite early, right? 3, 5. And then it goes on and on. But when it comes to autistic minds, it's not the same. Well, it's starting there, but it does not mean that at a certain age, a person is ready to understand someone's beliefs or mental states. Um, so again, seeing only leads to knowing. And Okay, if you know something and you want to connect with someone else, match their world, I would say. This is matching, like that mosaic, that part matches this one, and I'm trying to understand. I love it all, but this is a big picture for me. And with empathy and someone's help, that person's, that individual's help, I'm going to learn. That's compassion to me. Now, the second order thinking, mm, understanding what X thinks, Y is thinking. I go to that even more. What is happening in the autistic minds, um, I would say territory. Let's see. Do we presume that if a person is in the class and, well, first order, it's like, I think that's pretty straightforward. The second order, okay. So we look at someone and we imagine what they are thinking. Fair enough. Young learners are learning that skill, and then teenagers and then adults. But as adults and teachers especially, okay, it, there are even jokes like this. Yeah, I know that you know that I don't know. And there are sometimes awkward situations when the learner is looking at the teacher is avoiding that because he or she already, yeah, or them, they know what is happening. But that's natural for us, and we may laugh even when we react. But autistic learners sometimes will not because they may be struggling with what is happening in your head. I'm just reading your mind. I'm trying to read your signals to me, but they are still not clear because they are, let's say, neurotypical. It's a different world to me, not to mention third order thinking. So there might be a lot of miscommunication or misunderstandings going on. Uh, now, a little joke. If anyone here is in a relationship or married, when you've been married a long time, you get to know what the other person thinks. If you forget what theory of mind is, this is the other person. No, you don't. So you communicate without using even words. You know your reactions. You know what's in your head. Yeah, and that person's head near you. Of course, you can be wrong. That proves my theory. We can always be wrong, even in a relationship, right? We can never be sure. But still, theory of mind is important because, again, it's the ability. You may be able, or you may need to learn that, right? To me, it's more of a skill. You're able to do something. There we go. I think I pressed one slide, and there we go. We're going back to this one. Again, the ability to make inferences about other um, people's beliefs still in a different situation. And there are so many different situations we discover the world, right? There's no manual, or again, there's no template at all. So, how can we check working with young learners if theory of mind is taking place right now or where they are with their thinking, processing, with reactions, just to help them even more? I will show you a simple test. There we go. But simple. It's popular. So I know it may not be simple, but have a look and tell me, have you heard of the Sally and Ann test before? Checking social cognitive skills relating to the ability to think about your own mental state and the mental states of other people. I'm really curious right now. Have you heard of that? We have answers. The mind is top secret, absolutely. Can one be too empathetic? In fact, we can. I tell you what, an example actually from one of TEFL conferences when a teacher was sharing with me understood things differently out of compassion, but was going in a different direction. presuming that a person had a different impairment, kind of eyesight impairment, and was going that way, while the other person was feeling really uncomfortable. And we need to be mindful. Ask what the other person may need. Sometimes simple adjustments, but to avoid that misunderstanding, we're presuming what I'm doing, what I would love to see, what I would love to like, what I would like you to, you know, do for me. There's a very, I would say, uncharted territory, uh, that a person may feel comfortable, may feel fine. It's not pity. Don't take pity. So be very, very careful about that. Okay. Let's go back to our task. So we have Sally, we have Anne, there's a basket, Anne has a box. Then the marble is put, Sally has that marble, puts the marble into her basket, goes out for a walk, and takes the marble out of the basket and puts it into the box. And now Sally comes back. She wants to play with her marble. Where will Sally look for her marble? Yep. And then do you do you guess, not do you know, but do you know what the answer might be in terms of an autistic person or with not fully developed theory of mind? It would not be the place that we presume. Okay, answers coming in the basket. Okay, so knowing that what we see, what seems natural, or in this theory, did she know? Like being in that person's head, exactly, she left. So this is her. I'm now not reading what is happening, that Anne has put that marble now into the box, and this is the stage right now. What I see, very important. In the classroom, whatever is happening, this is what I see, might an autistic child say. This is what I see. So reading between the lines, making those connections or second order thinking, what she was thinking, or the third order thinking, or like, oh, of course she would do this because she wasn't. It's not of course for every learner. Okay, but it's what proper, yeah. Okay, the answer is checking. So please mind that. I think talking about even like another test, very popular, about delayed gratification is the marshmallow test or something like that. Works really well. You don't need to pinpoint right away. Today we're going to talk about the problem or the issue. I don't use that language at all. Problem. It's like, oh, let's learn. Let's see. Let's have fun. Let's watch a video. And then I let autistic learners, because I presume capability. And trust me, when they have the right perspective, they have fantastic ideas. And that has nothing to do with the IQ when it comes to problem solving, when the instructions are clear, or you would show this situation once, or this video, or this, there are a lot of tests or tasks to check that. But once they do that, they may realize, oh, okay, they just haven't been told about it yet. This is the beauty. And trust me, every single day, I have situations, autistic learners are just amazing. The most beautiful moments I had with them when we watch something and then I ask the right question. And then suddenly, next time, oh my goodness, teachers, parents are saying it's a different child. What kind of magic is happening? It's like this is a different therapeutic approach, and just showing them things that are not in course books. Well, yet they will be available soon. And now we have webinars, we have workshops. We can start doing that. Okay, or just everything just starts or sparks in the classroom. So possible challenges that may appear when there's no theory of mind fully developed, or well, putting yourself in other person's shoes. Imagine just Monday morning learners or just meeting and talking about this and that. It's like, oh, I did this and that. How you felt? I may not understand fully. I cannot put yourself or whatever happened, and there are a lot of emotions going on, especially with extreme emotions. You need to explain sometimes clearly. So my approach is the wheel of emotions. Number one, developing the vocabulary around emotions, feelings, lots of role plays, and I give you ideas in a moment as well. How to help learners to talk about their experiences and to provide or give the right signals what is really happening. Sometimes a smile or just a look may be taken differently by someone. You can be happy being silent. You can be excited about something or someone's whatever achievement without jumping for joy. All right. So we have different reactions. Understanding emotions may be a problem, predicting someone's behavior. So if I'm sharing my story, whatever, I've won something, I've been here and there, what do you expect? Or how do you expect me to react? See, my reaction may be different, especially in terms of the autistic mind. They may not react, but it's like, okay, you've told me about it. Thank you for sharing. This is what into your mind. We've talked about it. Thanks for sharing. Let's go to another point. Because they do not go so, I would say, um, far into analyzing, explaining, or so what should I be doing right now? That leads to masking. If they don't know what is the reaction? I wanted to say the exact reaction to match your world, but what do you want me to do? Okay, just tell me. Okay, I'm happy, or just saying that, yeah, I'm with you. Brilliant. Fantastic. I'm happy for you. That's right. So some expressions, even like that. I'm not talking about telling them to say things they don't really feel, but teaching learners there are different ways of expressing emotions, of reactions, and so on. Now, differentiating fiction from fact, very important. Please, if you can take away a few things from this webinar, please tell your learners, okay, or raise the awareness that reading between the lines, jokes, um, sometimes, remarks are really difficult, or for autistic minds, or a situation when someone is, well, we know bullying is going on, unfortunately, here and there, and peers, young learners can be nasty. I'm not saying they are, but they can be with behavior. Sometimes they don't realize what kind of harm they are making, trying to just, pretend that, oh, it was a joke, or just teasing or checking, right? Autistic learners find it really hard to say, is that really what you're saying? Has that happened? So they are um, easily, I would say, impressed in a way that whatever you tell me, I take it. Yeah, why would you lie? And I think that this is the beauty. The beauty. They have questions that sometimes neurotypical minds would not ask. It's like, you're lying. And why do we allow lying? I mean, lying is bad. So why would you be lying to me right now, trying to make fun of my reaction? Because I take it that it's true. Jokes are hard, okay? And situations that, especially like teasing, be very careful. So differentiating. Uh, Also going even a step further, analyzing poetry, something different. But this is another of my webinars or courses, if you want, analyzing and creating poetry with autistic minds. This is what I've checked, what I'm going to share next. What is in the author's mind? What is in your mind? Why are you doing this? Okay, important point. So joint attention as well. We are on the task both, but I have my world, you have my world. That's it. Okay, so following social conventions. We have some norms, social norms. Autistic learners are willing to follow but they need that extra explanation from our side. What is it? Okay. Or are you being sincere right now to me? As simple as that. Isn't that beautiful? They are loyal. They are great friends, and actually they pick up even faster, okay, on the changes in someone's, um, I would say, attitude. So no teasing in the classroom. Be very careful about bullying or some acts of silly jokes. That's not something that's going to help absolutely anybody. All right. Unless they understand, or you may say they don't understand those things. So we should allow, like, forbidden jokes. No, no, not what I'm trying to say. Let's make it a mindful, okay, approach that I know that this joke may not be appropriate, or it doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that riddles or puzzles or jokes are too difficult for autistic learners. They are not. Just show them once, twice, three times different ideas. They have out of the box solutions. They are great problem solvers. Okay. But they pick up really quickly on states of mind. So if you're just, okay, we're not doing it, something like that, your reaction, they may take, oh, you don't want to play with me now? Or do you think I'm silly or stupid? Or what happened? What has just happened? So changing the emotion or your attitude is very important, because that joint attention issue, that, or are we on this task? Why are we jumping or task switching, is really hard because of that reason. Because if we're on that thing, we're doing that thing. Why would you add unnecessary things to it? So it's very much funneled. Okay. So making them aware and other learners aware. My question here on this slide was, what if a person has no theory of mind developed? There may be a situation, or an unusual situation of mind blindness. Okay. And I mentioned today the dual diagnosis. So maybe an autistic child with a learning difference may not be there yet. So that's why they are regarded, or they seem to be, they come across as without empathy. He does not react to my emotions. And unfortunately, that leads to that isolation, because kids, he doesn't want to play with me. I don't want to play with him. He doesn't do what I want. I don't know. He doesn't get me, right? That sort of thing. But maybe you don't get the other person. This is compassion to me. Raising awareness, spreading awareness, and uh, just knowing that maybe it's not in their person's map for mosaic yet. All right. So how should we explain? I'm reading now one of the questions. Explain our own behaviors for these types of autistic learners in a class. Exactly. Yeah. When we share, they love, our learners love to listen about, some things, what you like, what you do. Be approachable. And I would say start with mentalizing, or showing your processes in the mind, that, oh, or even showing some maybe misunderstandings that have happened to you because you did not know. I always say that's natural, not even normal, but that's natural, or that has happened to me as well. Or do you know, guys? And we are all models, but isn't that great if I can tell I'm not perfect and I'm learning? First lesson, I'm just saying, okay, I'm gonna share something, and you can share if you feel comfortable. But yet, from time to time, you know, it's showing them as well, even an adult, even a teacher, we are all learning. There's no template, there's no manual for life. We are all here to learn from each other and explain your behavior. On top of that, I would say, well, some workshops, and I've done a lot of um, presentations or talks on verbal, nonverbal communication. Okay, what it is all about, just to introduce the topic to, and then you can go with a more personalized task. How would you react and why, and so on. And role plays are great. I mean, because you're somehow you're pretending, right, to be, or drama is fantastic because I've noticed autistic learners feel safe there. It's not them because they are so used to sometimes to masking that they want to do it in a safe territory, which is like, it was just a game. It was just playing. It's not me, but really it's them. Sometimes you can just see, oh my gosh, finally, yeah, they can come up of their shell when you let them uh, express what they really feel, what they love, what they like. Otherwise, it's more of a restricted, close, limited kind of situation or environment in class, right? Plus, it's just the classroom. There are other people outside, same age, younger, older. They should learn, and we should learn from people of different age. This is important too, because sometimes it may be hard, like peers. We know that. We know ourselves. Why do you teach learners if you're teaching young learners? Why do you teach teenagers or adults? We know that the matching sometimes, right? Just appears naturally. But we should be around different age groups as well and encourage your learners as well to do so, please. Um, and the next point, let me just check the time. We're very good. So strategies. You may say, okay, so what can I do? Fine. I'm following now. It's teaching the concepts of different feelings and emotions. And that answers the question of behaviors too, explaining, right? Your own behaviors, awareness. Others have their own state of mind. And that may change. And it has nothing to do with you sometimes, because again, my therapeutic approach is I'm doing a therapeutic session, like the language is therapeutic. I'm a therapist. We're doing the part that we have to do when it comes to the learning outcomes, but a lot of anxiety going on around some situations that we would need another webinar on that. Okay, dealing with depression, anxiety around classroom and how to tackle that state of mind. Abstract concepts with scripts or visual aids. Nothing abstract. Might be too difficult. So be on the safe side, some scripts if someone needs that. How to read nonverbal cues. So I mentioned that already. Different perspectives, all the time reminding them. Social situations, simulations, role plays, or rehearsals, just to be sure. Amazing ideas. I could really sit with you for another hour and just talk about situations that I have had when this breakthrough moment happened in that task that we were doing, or, oh, I taught that. That was amazing. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Perfect. And then another strategy or another technique from different therapies because I'm doing lots of those. And very important, another point, you may say, okay, so there are neurodivergent learners in the classroom. They may have a learning difference or difficulty if you use different terminology. There might be autistic or learners or those with ADHD and other conditions, but no child is the same. And especially when it comes to the autism spectrum, it's not linear. So you might say, okay, maybe there is some kind of um gap, can we call it? I like to say bridging the gap between two worlds, right? In social skills or then stimming. This is allowing, right? Stimming is like sometimes rocking or flapping behaviors. We do that too, learners or adults. This is what we do. This is what we do, touching, rocking. Okay. So autistic minds have their own ways to self-regulate in a way. So in my opinion, we should allow that in a way. There, again, different situations, and that comes down to the class management and what the rules are, or if you're going to change them or adopt them. Then we're talking about interventions, but let's focus here. Depression, anxiety, sensory needs, very important. I could pick a few. We talked about nonverbal communication, social skills, right? Executive functioning, anxiety, and interestingly, the sound. Now, cognition, but whatever is happening around in the classroom, and you think that the noise level is all right, just about, just fine, may not be because there's an increased auditory capacity in autism. So not only picking up changes in mental states very, very quickly, and most autistic learners would be very empathetic, they would react or the distraction would come very quickly, or there's like too much. So reaching that level of cognitive overload in terms of sounds around and trying to process them. And when we talk, when we speak, these are sounds. These are sounds. It takes a lot of effort and energy to decode what is happening. Neurotypical minds find it easier to just tune in and, okay, so we're talking, and there might be noises around, not when it comes to an autistic child. Now, as you can see, the slide says a sound advantage. In fact, it is. Have you seen videos of autistic learners playing the piano, or like they're great artists? Sometimes they don't need any notes because of this ability to understand those connections quickly, to pick up something that other people wouldn't do that quickly or wouldn't do at all. So my question to you now is, we're going to hearing and listening and the simulation um, and sensory needs. Okay, communication. We have a situation in class and in life as well. We can apply it to any situation, really, because if you're autistic, you are autistic. It's not you're autistic in the classroom, right? Only. What role does perception play in communication? And then who do you communicate best with? You can pick an example. This is what I tell my learners. Chunking, clear instructions, pick one person, the best one. Why that communication is so good. And do you perceive what the person is saying, or is it because you're familiar with their reactions? Does it take a lot of effort? Or what makes that communication easier? And again, please answer some questions. The difference between hearing and listening. And then we can talk about some examples in the classroom. All right. So hearing and listening. Some answers. The role of perception in communication. Active listening. Okay. A person may be active, may try to focus an autistic mind, but there's too much going on. So listening means understanding, implies understanding. Thank you so much. Someone's reading my mind here. Yes. It's higher level. I mentioned at the beginning, it's too hard. When just hearing too many sounds makes it almost impossible for an autistic mind to navigate a conversation, not to mention guess and perceive what your message is. And if you're adding extra things to me, like jokes or sarcasm or anything else, what is going on, the person thinks. Passive listening is hearing, exactly. So hearing, we can hear someone, but we not understand. So also in the classroom, yes, it's please listen, right? When we say listen, listen, focus, concentrate, but it may be hard. Autistic learners, and even sometimes there are three different types of ADHD, by the way. So with those learners, that's even more complex sometimes with concentration. But please bear that in mind. It's not so easy for them to decode and understand, even to listen. Okay? Okay. So now we tune in. The point is we need to tune in and just be with that person. And the more familiar something is, like if I interact with you, if I meet you, if I talk to you, you explain your world to me and I explain my world to you, that's much easier with every encounter, with any situation, right? So let's engage more with autistic minds, learners, neurodivergent learners. That's why I'm for inclusion, because they can thrive when they are not isolated. And sometimes it's just a label that, especially young learners would say, awkward. It's not awkward. It's just different to yours. that's what it is. It's a mosaic. That's your world. This is my world. This is their world. And you will meet someone else in life. They will have their own world. So compassionate communication is where you can listen and always listen before you judge, because before you say anything at all, and try to find the needs behind the words, okay? And be very mindful and be kind even to yourself, that even if you don't understand something, that's still okay, because you're learning, and it is always a learning experience. This is it, and there is no right or wrong. See, I was very careful and cautious even using those things. What do you think? The slide with a girl and the roller, um, and so on. So important now, very quickly, because I'm mindful of the time as well. So we're in the classroom now, and what can we do? Some activities for you, for learners. I can see questions, I answer, I present now some of the activities, teaching our learners about the emotional mind, rational, and the wise mind. So always you can have even posters or like lollipops, whatever, rational, emotional, wise, yeah, and just showing which mind do you think is now in action, is what is happening. First, understanding, of course. And I'd be happy, the webinar is recorded, so I'd be happy to provide those activities to you. But this is an idea about the mindfulness skill and the wise mind in the classroom. Start early, young learners, teenagers, you can adopt and adjust any, I'd say, level of English. That's fine too. You can adopt easy, small activity, or go deeper and more advanced conversations. The contemporary autism research mentions those things, and I really want you to know those. Okay, and then we'll answer questions. There we go. I'm just shuffling things around to see better on my screen. So the double empathy problem, neurotypical learners and an autistic person. Monotropism, when you're focusing, is like one channel on one task, which can be an advantage as well. And then masking that I mentioned. So this is what is happening. I'm just telling you that this topic, and that's why I'm so fascinated about it. And I've been doing this for years, and I'm still adding more bits and checking what is new there, what else can be done. But the double empathy problem definitely should be discussed, or I think teachers should know about. So both parties may struggle to understand each other's thoughts, feelings, behavior, and differences. Okay. Sensory destructions, misconceptions, reading between the lines may be hard. This is again just the definition. These you have that on the screen. You can read it again, just rephrasing, reframing. Would that be okay to just give you some participants? Please, thank you so much. Let's be mindful of others who are reading. That might be very distracting. So differences in language and communication. Monotropism, if you hear that term, that means almost immersion or tunnel vision.
Sorry, can we just ask participants to mute their mics? Sorry, Anna, I can't understand what the background activity is.
For a second. Maybe if I stop talking, it's like in the classroom. You stop talking, there's silence, so the attention is there.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay.
Okay.
I think I've silenced her.
Okay.
This works. Okay, very good. So this is monotropism. Channeling, focus, increase attention on one task, but it's a unique skill as well. Again, we can meet again and talk about examples. What kinds of jobs would be great for autistic learners because they have this skill. Okay, then the last bit is mutual empathy. Communication is a shared responsibility. This is what we should teach, mutual empathy, embracing those neurological differences and building bridges of understanding all the time. And of course, respect mosaic minds. The mind is a temple. It's not a template. And I want to thank you so much. This is the end of the presentation. I answer questions from the chat. You can see the QR code to a feedback form, which is always appreciated. You can find me on social media. And thank you so much. I leave that slide there for a second and I go back to questions. And of course, Chantal, if you have
Thank you.
other things to share, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a wonderful, wonderful presentation, Anna. So much to think about, so much to reflect about. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much. You were great at answering questions as you were going along. There are just one or two, which I'll mention in a moment. I have to say, it's very, I read a book years ago called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which was about an autistic boy. And I came back so much listening to your wonderful presentation. I mean, there's so much food for thought, you know, just asking questions, what you were saying, how good are we at recognizing emotions? What's inside the mind is not visible outside. I love your line, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Drive, yeah.
Yeah, you can be happy silent. I mean, so many lovely reflections, what you mentioned about bullying, teasing in the classroom. And I think as educators, we just always have so much more to learn, so much to reflect on. And I think just one of the last things you mentioned, I thought was lovely that you explain your world to me and I'll explain my world to you. And that communication is a shared responsibility. I think they're really important messages. But two questions that came up that we didn't get a chance, if you have time. One was when you were talking about mind blindness. One person asked, might mind blindness be also the result of a very strict upbringing?
That's quite complex. Of course, family is playing a huge role here. Mind blind, developing the relationships. I would link that, but before I would even draw a conclusion that in that particular case, that was possibly the root cause or and a factor playing a huge role. Why? When you think of social relationships and with negligence or lack of attachment, so when a child, we're talking about 3 to 5 years old, right? When the theory is developing of mind, my answer would be at the moment, a brief answer, possibly. Chances are that yes. Why? Because if you're strict, you're not showing enough love, attention, you're not forming that connection. And again, it's with a mother or a father that gets a bit complex. I would have a therapeutic session here. Shortly, yes, it might play a role because this is what we learn, what we take from our family, right? Or that background. See what happens when we deal with learners in the classroom, we presume, or thank God, most of the time they have a good environment, healthy, there is safety, there is connection. Parents collect them from school and so on. We know it, but not always, not always. So if there is some kind of mismatch or there are some gaps there, it might affect later on. Yes, those skills. Any other questions there?
Another question was, what should we do if an autistic learner does not engage in pair or group work, even though the students were explicitly asked to work together on a task?
Exactly. So the students were It might be um linked to just sensory overwhelm. I would say that I don't know what to start with. Still, very, very simple. That's why personalizing things and the approach should be towards the child, even when we think it's simple enough, so you should be doing it right now. But the mind might be wondering, or you see, when I talked about noises and things like that, or even decoding, or if there is another learning difference, and most likely there is, even not diagnosed, it may be I don't understand what to start with. So the engaging, right, did not even start. It's hearing and listening. I can hear that you're telling me I should start, but I don't know. There's something called the wall of awful in neurodivergent minds. The wall of awful. It seems like bricks, a wall in front of you, and another thing. And I'm not starting that at all because it's too much for me. In my mind, you've given me a task that it's too much. It's like a monster. The wall of awful. It's in psychology, and that's a term another like double empathy problem. Could be a reason. So in this short frame of time, this is what I could share with you. If you
Thank,
have any other questions at any time, you know where to find me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been fantastic, guys. We're meeting. It's Saturday. We are, yeah, dedicated educators, teachers, change makers, because the knowledge we share in every webinar or workshop or wherever we go, this is ongoing. This is happening, right? We're creating those classrooms and the change starts with us. So thank you so much for being with us today. Wishing you all the best and see you next time.
thank you again, Anna. Thank you. An enriching morning for everyone. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everyone, and we hope to see you at our next webinar in May. So stay tuned for more information. And thank you again, Anna, for being with us.
You are very welcome. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
And stop sharing.